Hello, my name is Toy. Welcome to Educator.com's course on jQuery and Ajax. This is the first lesson, and the question obviously at hand is what you will learn. Everybody wants to know that. I'll give you some quick examples of some things that we're going to be running through. This is all examples of Ajax, just this kind of jQuery and Ajax, all this kind of instant feedback. That's just kind of the basics to kind of get you started to understand the mechanics of jQuery and Ajax. But then you get to more into interesting things like how to make this stuff work and stuff like a real world example at the end. How to make all this stuff work. Kind of Google-esque kind of interactive text boxes. All right, so let's get back to what we're supposed to be doing, which is talking about Ajax and jQuery. Minimum requirements for this course. I really stress these minimum requirements. Do not fool yourself, please. Be honest. Your HTML has to be excellent. Without a solid understanding of HTML, and that doesn't mean just read through it, but you have to be able to type it. This stuff will go over your head. A really good understanding of JavaScript as well, because jQuery is basically JavaScript. You have to also understand how PHP works, because Ajax is PHP, along with SQL. XML, don't really need to know that. But another one I forgot to add to this list, which is really important, only because it kind of adds to the humanistic feel of what we're doing, is CSS. So have a good understanding of CSS and how it works. Okay? So without further ado, let's just say you know all that stuff, which is great. Welcome. What is Ajax? Ajax, if you look it up in Wikipedia, is called asynchronous JavaScript and XML, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? It just means that it does some, in these days, fancy, cool stuff. What is a non-Ajax page versus an Ajax page? Well, a non-Ajax page is basically what we would call, or what us developers would call, like Web 1.0. Old school way of doing things. An Ajax page is the Web 2.0, the kind of instant feedback that you get. You click on something, there's a button here, which is a link or an image, and you click on something, and something just pops up instantly. Like you click on a link, over here, you get your list of tickets that you can buy instamatically, and you haven't left the page. Okay? So, what is jQuery? You keep hearing that all around. jQuery is a framework built upon JavaScript. Now, JavaScript, if you've tried to actually use JavaScript, it's a little esoteric. It is for kind of the more hardcore programmers, object-oriented. A framework is a reusable set of libraries or classes for a software system or subsystem, and in this case, JavaScript. jQuery was built on top of JavaScript to make the whole JavaScript process easier. We don't need to instantiate objects all the time. We don't need to set up arrays all the time. It just kind of figures out what you want and what you don't want just by a few commands. So, why Ajax? Top 5 reasons. I don't have 10 like Letterman. I got 5. But these are good five good ones. It's asynchronous. What does asynchronous mean? Well, do you know how when you you press a button, it's a link, it says something. You press a button, and it comes back to your page, then you get all this stuff. You have to wait before you can do your next button pressing. Then it comes back with another page. Asynchronous is you've got two buttons on your page, link one, and you have your one page, your one response, and this applies to this area, and this can apply to this area. And you don't have to wait for link 1 to finish before you hit link 2. That's pretty awesome, because in this day and age of you want it to work, right? You don't want it to be all right? Even that's just boring the tears out of me. Okay? So, number 4, important for coders. It's important for coders because it is better code structure. Once you start setting up your classes in PHP, once you start setting up your JavaScript, you know where things are. It's better code structure. You reuse your code. You can you start using plugins and you pluginify your jQuery and your JavaScript functions, and then you just start reusing this stuff over and over and over again. You'll see later on in the course how it's easy to turn a set of jQuery commands into a plugin and just start attaching it to any element you want on the page. Number 3, faster development, reusable code. All the reasons why I said number 4. You start building stuff, you pluginify it, and then you just attach it to different pieces on the page instead of having to write it over and over and over again. Number 2, less data transfer. What does that mean? Less data transfer. Well, in the old school Web 1.0 version, if I were to hit a link in this page, I hit the link, it would load up a whole new page with all the header and all the footer and all this stuff in between, even if I just wanted one line of code changed right here. With Ajax, all I have to do is, if I press this link, I could just get it to change that one little line, as opposed to having to load up the header, load up the footer, load up all the graphics in between, and then I get one little line change. That is fantastic. Especially, think about it, if you have a site that has 1 million hits per day, you don't have to load up this 10 kilobyte line. You don't have to load up 3 megs every time. Do the math on that. You start having to buy a lot of load balancers and a lot of web servers. But the number 1 reason is the more humanistic feel, the instant feedback, the organic kind of, oh, it's the computer's responding to me. Oh, it's giving me what I want. I can drill down and it's easy and it makes sense, and I only have to focus on this one area. So that is the number 1 answer. Above and beyond, super important, really great stuff. We all feel more comfortable with it. Let me give you real-world examples of that. YouTube, Google, basically most sites that have any thought put into them, any kind of development team put into it, they're going to have jQuery and Ajax Web 2.0 kind of principles behind them. Okay? Here's an example, by the way, of old school non-Ajax and the better way with Ajax. If I press this button, watch up here in the URL line. I'm actually hitting back the URL. It means I'm reloading the whole page. As opposed to here, I am not reloading the page. It's just doing this one area. Okay? Final comments. I just lied to you. Ajax is not the little purple and pink boxes. Ajax really is the client here making a request to the back-end web server and coming around and showing it on your page. However, in this day and age, what's going on is that because this kind of smooth interaction is going on, clients who don't really know development, they just want it to work. They want it to have a humanistic feel. They want it to feel like it's rich, data rich, and it's really responding to you. They just call that Ajax. So if you just say Ajax, they're like, oh yeah, Ajax, I get that. If you said to them, oh, it's a JavaScript framework with blah blah blah, even though we're not officially making a call to the back-end web server, they're like, the glazed over look happens within like the first word of JavaScript, and then it's just done. You say Ajax, they get it. So now what's happened is that the word Ajax is kind of the definition of the word is kind of expanded to just kind of mean that Web 2.0 kind of feel. All right? Lastly, in my final comments, I challenge you. I challenge you because, as you'll see as we go through all of these lessons, everyone will have pretty much downloadable code. You can, downloadable code of that lesson that I've just taught you. You can just open it up, read it, copy and paste, whatever. But that won't help you. It won't help you because you're not doing it. You're just copying and pasting it. So that by the time you actually have to do it for real, as a developer on a team, you're going to be like, but who can I copy and paste from? Well, no one. Because you're the developer. You have to create it. You have to develop it. Now, of course, you'll see times when I am copying and pasting all the time. But for now, I challenge you to just, when you go through these lessons, and try to do this homework on your own to try to kind of build your vocabulary and get stronger in the jQuery grammar and the jQuery vocabulary, I challenge you to do it by hand first. And then when you start getting more comfortable, then copy and paste as your understanding grows. All right? Have fun. Be creative. jQuery is kind of fun once you get into it. All right. See you in the next lesson. This is Toy for educator.com, jQuery Ajax.